Have you ever looked at your dinner plate and thought, at least I'm doing the right thing? I'm eating vegetables only to still feel more tired, more swollen, or notice your blood pressure creeping up year after year. If you're over 60, this question matters more than you realize, because what I'm about to tell you may explain why so many well-intentioned, health-conscious Americans are quietly damaging their kidneys without ever knowing it. I'm Dr. Mark Ellis, and after decades of working with older adults, I need to say this clearly and urgently. After the age of 60, your kidneys do not respond to food the way they used to. They filter more slowly, they recover more poorly, and certain foods, especially some vegetables you've been told are always healthy, can push them into silent overload. This doesn't happen overnight. There's no sharp pain, no dramatic warning. It shows up as fatigue, you blame on aging ankle swelling, you ignore, or blood pressure that just won't come down no matter how clean you eat. And here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear for millions of seniors in the United States. The very vegetables sitting on their plate salads, side dishes, juices are adding stress to kidneys that are already struggling. Not because vegetables are bad, but because aging kidneys can no longer handle quantity, concentration, and frequency the same way. This is why kidney problems often seem to appear out of nowhere, when in reality the warning signs have been whispering for years. In this video, I'm going to show you 5 common vegetables that deserve a second look after 60, not to scare you, but to protect you. More importantly, I'll show you exactly what to eat instead, so you can keep enjoying your meals without silently shortening the life of your kidneys. If you care about staying independent, avoiding dialysis, and keeping your body strong for the years ahead, stay with me, because the small choices you make at the dinner table may matter far more than you've ever been told. Let's start with beets, because this is often the first vegetable people add when they decide to eat healthier. Bright red, naturally sweet, praised for blood pressure and circulation. Beets are everywhere, from salads and roasted side dishes to juices promoted as heart-healthy tonics. For younger adults with strong kidneys, beets are usually handled without much trouble. But after 60, the story quietly changes, and this is where many well-meaning people get caught off guard. The hidden issue with beets is oxalates. Beets are one of the highest oxalate vegetables commonly eaten. Oxalates bind with calcium inside the body and can form sharp crystals. In younger kidneys, these compounds are often flushed out efficiently, but aging kidneys filter more slowly, and oxalates begin to linger. Over time, they can irritate kidney tissue, contribute to microscopic stone formation, and silently increase kidney stress long before anything shows up on routine lab work. I once worked with a 68-year-old woman who started drinking beet juice every morning after reading it could naturally lower blood pressure. She felt proud of her discipline. For months, she told herself the back discomfort and ankle swelling were just part of getting older. It wasn't until imaging showed early oxalate deposits that the connection became clear. When she stopped the daily beet juice and switched to gentler vegetables, the swelling eased and her energy slowly returned. Nothing dramatic changed overnight, but the damage stopped progressing. Here's the science most people never hear. 1 cup of cooked beets can deliver a heavy oxalate load, and beet juice is even more concentrated. Drinking it daily means you're giving aging kidneys the hardest possible version to process liquid, fast-absorbing, and repeated. Beet greens are even higher in oxalates and potassium, making them especially risky when eaten often. This doesn't mean beets are bad. It means frequency, form, and preparation matter. Eating beets, occasionally boiling them, and discarding the water or pairing them with calcium-rich foods like yogurt can reduce oxalate absorption in the gut. The danger comes from the belief that more is always better, especially in juice form. But here's what really surprises most people. If beets already pose this level of risk after 60, the next vegetable looks even more innocent and yet may be far more dangerous when eaten the wrong way. Because spinach doesn't just contain oxalates, it concentrates them. If beets quietly stress aging kidneys because of oxalates, then spinach takes that risk to an entirely different level. And this is where many health-conscious people unknowingly cross the line. Spinach has been celebrated for decades as a superfood. It's blended into smoothies, piled onto salads, stirred into pasta, and praised for iron, magnesium, vitamin K, and antioxidants. For many people over 60, spinach feels like the safest possible choice. But the very reason it looks so healthy is also why it can become dangerous. Spinach is one of the highest oxalate foods in the entire human diet. To put this into perspective, a single cup of cooked spinach can contain over 700 milligrams of oxalates. That's not a typo. In younger adults with strong kidney filtration, much of this load can still be managed. But after 60 kidney clearance slows, and oxalates begin to accumulate instead of passing through. Over time, these compounds bind to calcium and form microscopic crystals that irritate kidney tissue and increase the risk of calcium oxalate stones, the most common type of kidney stone. I remember a retired school teacher in her early 70s who prided herself on starting every morning with a green smoothie. Spinach, almond milk, berries, no sugar, no junk. She believed she was doing everything right, yet she kept feeling drained, struggled with recurring back discomfort, and noticed her urine becoming cloudy. When her labs finally showed early kidney stress, she was shocked. Spinach wasn't a treat in her diet, it was a daily habit. Once she reduced raw spinach and switched to lower oxalate greens, her symptoms slowly improved. The problem becomes far worse when spinach is eaten raw or blended. Cooking helps leach oxalates into water, but raw spinach retains nearly all of them. Smoothies in particular deliver oxalates quickly and repeatedly, exactly what aging kidneys struggle with most. And there's another hidden issue many people overlook. Oxalates don't just affect the kidneys. They also block the absorption of calcium, magnesium, and iron nutrients older adults already absorb less efficiently. This doesn't mean spinach must disappear forever. It means preparation and frequency are everything. Briefly boiling spinach and discarding the water can reduce oxalates by up to 70 to 80%. Rotating greens instead of eating spinach daily gives the kidneys time to recover. The danger lies in repetition, not a single serving. But here's where the story takes a sharper turn. Oxalates aren't the only threat aging kidneys face. Because the next vegetable doesn't attack through crystals at all, it overwhelms the kidneys through something even more dangerous when it builds silently in the blood. And that's potassium. If oxalates quietly damage aging kidneys by forming crystals, potassium harms them in a very different and often more dangerous way. And few foods illustrate this better than sweet potatoes. For years, sweet potatoes have been promoted as the healthy upgrade to regular potatoes. They're rich in fiber, beta-carotene, and vitamin C, and many people over 60 turn to them, hoping to protect their heart and blood sugar. On the surface, it feels like a smart choice. But once kidney function begins to slow, sweet potatoes can quietly become a problem. The issue isn't sugar, it's potassium. Potassium is essential for muscle movement, nerve signaling, and heart rhythm. But when kidneys lose filtering efficiency, which happens naturally with age, excess potassium stays in the bloodstream. This condition, known as hyperkalemia, often develops silently. No pain, no warning. Just gradual fatigue, muscle weakness, lightheadedness, or subtle heart rhythm changes that many seniors mistake for just getting older. A single medium sweet potato contains over 500 milligrams of potassium. That's fine for younger kidneys. But for someone over 60, especially with early kidney decline, that amount adds up quickly. The danger multiplies when sweet potatoes are eaten frequently or paired with other high potassium foods like bananas, avocados, beans, or tomatoes. I once saw a 70-year-old man who replaced rice with sweet potatoes every night to eat cleaner. Within months, he began experiencing palpitations and dizziness. His labs revealed elevated potassium levels and reduced kidney reserve. When he cut back and balanced his meals with lower potassium vegetables, his symptoms improved. What makes potassium especially dangerous is how quiet it is. You don't feel it building. You don't get sharp pain. But high potassium can disrupt heart rhythm and in severe cases become life-threatening. And preparation matters more than most people realize. Baking or roasting sweet potatoes concentrates potassium while boiling, and discarding the water can significantly reduce it. Portion size is critical. Half a cup may be manageable. A large baked sweet potato eaten regularly often is not. This doesn't mean sweet potatoes are forbidden. It means they require strategy. Frequency, portion control, and cooking method determine whether they nourish or overload aging kidneys. The mistake many people make is assuming that natural automatically means safe in unlimited amounts. But here's where things get even more complicated. Because the next vegetable doesn't just deliver potassium, it combines potassium with another silent stressor, especially when eaten in sauces, juices, in concentrated forms. And that's where tomatoes enter the picture. If sweet potatoes overload aging kidneys by quietly raising potassium, tomatoes create a more deceptive problem because they combine potassium and oxalates, and they hide inside foods people eat every single day without thinking twice. Tomatoes feel harmless, familiar, comforting. They show up in pasta sauce, pizza, burgers, soups, and even breakfast juice. Most people never question them, especially after being told for years that tomatoes are heart-healthy and rich in lycopene. But for kidneys, over 60 tomatoes can become a slow, steady source of stress. A medium tomato contains close to 300 milligrams of potassium. That may not sound extreme, but the real danger appears when tomatoes are concentrated. Tomato paste sauces, canned soups, and tomato juice compress multiple tomatoes into a single serving. One bowl of pasta with sauce can equal 3 or 4 tomatoes at once. Add pizza one night, spaghetti the next, and tomato juice in the morning, and the kidneys never get a break. I remember a 72-year-old man who drank tomato juice every morning because he believed it was good for circulation. Combined with his regular pasta dinners, his potassium and oxalate intake was far higher than he realized. He didn't feel sharp pain, just ongoing fatigue, mild swelling, and blood pressure that slowly crept upward. When he reduced tomato juice and rotated meals away from daily sauces, his kidney markers stabilized within months. Nothing dramatic changed overnight, but the silent strain stopped accumulating. Here's the science most people miss. Tomatoes contain moderate oxalates, which can still bind with calcium and contribute to stone formation when kidney clearance slows. When oxalates and potassium are consumed together day after day, aging kidneys are forced to manage 2 stressors at once. And processed tomato products make this worse. Canning and concentrating increase potassium density, while added sodium in sauces and soups creates a second hit, raising blood pressure and forcing kidneys to retain fluid. This doesn't mean tomatoes must disappear completely. It means they should be treated as accents, not foundations. Smaller portions, fewer weekly servings, and avoiding daily juices or heavy sauces can dramatically reduce kidney load. Pairing tomatoes with calcium-rich foods may help limit oxalate absorption, and hydration remains critical. But here's the uncomfortable truth. Even if you manage tomatoes perfectly, there is one vegetable that delivers the heaviest potassium load of all, often combined with salt and fat, and most people eat it far more often than they realize. Because when it comes to kidney stress, after 60 potatoes may be the final tipping point. If tomatoes quietly strain aging kidneys through hidden concentration, potatoes deliver the heaviest blow of all because they combine extreme potassium levels with the way people actually eat them. Potatoes feel safe, familiar, comforting. Mashed potatoes at Thanksgiving, baked potatoes with dinner fries on weekends, chips during football games. For many Americans, over 60 potatoes aren't an occasional food, they're a habit. The problem is potassium. A single medium baked potato contains over 900 milligrams of potassium, nearly double that of a banana. For healthy kidneys, potassium helps regulate blood pressure and muscle function. But aging kidneys don't clear potassium efficiently. When levels rise, potassium remains in the bloodstream, leading to hyperkalemia, a condition that can cause muscle weakness, fatigue, nausea, and most dangerously, irregular heart rhythms. The most frightening part is that early hyperkalemia often has no obvious symptoms. I once worked with a 66-year-old man who replaced rice with potatoes because he thought they were more natural. Within months, he noticed constant tiredness and occasional heart fluttering. His blood tests revealed elevated potassium levels and declining kidney reserve. He was stunned. Potatoes had always felt harmless. When he reduced potato intake and swapped some meals for lower potassium options, his potassium levels stabilized and his energy slowly returned. Preparation makes potatoes even more dangerous. Baking and roasting concentrate potassium, while mashed potatoes and fries often come loaded with salt and unhealthy fats. This creates a double burden: potassium overload plus sodium-driven fluid retention, forcing kidneys to work harder just to maintain balance. Processed potato products like chips add a third problem: ultra-high sodium, which raises blood pressure and accelerates kidney damage over time. This doesn't mean potatoes must vanish forever, but they require serious control after 60. Peeling, slicing, soaking in water for several hours, and boiling in a large pot can reduce potassium by up to 50%. Portion size matters. Half a cup of properly prepared potato is very different from a full baked potato, and combining potatoes with other high potassium foods in the same meal is one of the fastest ways to overload aging kidneys. Here's the hard truth most people never hear. Many seniors don't develop kidney failure because of one dramatic mistake, but because of small daily habits that quietly pile up. And once kidneys reach a tipping point, recovery becomes far more difficult. But here's the hopeful part, and this is crucial. Knowing what to limit is only half the story, because the final piece isn't about fear restriction or giving up comfort foods. It's about learning how to eat in a way that relieves the kidneys instead of exhausting them. And that's where the right substitutions and simple swaps can make all the difference. If there's one thing I want you to take away from this video, it's this: you haven't done anything wrong. Most people were simply never told that kidneys change with age, and that foods once handled easily can quietly become a burden later in life. The fact that you're here listening and willing to learn already puts you ahead. Small adjustments, not extreme diets, are often what protect kidney function the longest. You don't need to fear food, and you don't need to give up the meals you love. What matters is awareness, balance, and timing. By limiting certain vegetables, preparing them more wisely, and paying attention to how your body responds, you're giving your kidneys the breathing room they need to keep working for you year after year. That's an act of self-care, not restriction. If this information helped you, please save this video so you can come back to it later or share it with someone you care about. And make sure to subscribe to the channel, because I regularly share clear, practical medical guidance to help you protect your kidneys, your heart, and your independence as you age. No hype, no fear, just honest, evidence-based information you can actually use. Remember, your kidneys work quietly every single day, filtering your blood-balancing fluids and supporting your life without asking for recognition. The least we can do is support them in return. With the right choices, it's never too late to slow damage, regain balance, and feel stronger moving forward. Stay consistent, stay hopeful, and I'll see you in the next video.